Some people think that it is the transcendence of the self that gives rise to true happiness or to enlightenment. They say that the self is an illusion and free will does not exist. What do you think about this claim, which some people think can be proven by experience?
Well, nothing can be proven by experience, so that's an easy one. So I think those two things are different, the existence of the self and the existence of free will. I mean, I think they both exist, but they're, I suppose, connected. But there are differences between them. I think, for example, it's true that when we are deeply engaged in a problem, an absorbing problem, then typically one does not think of oneself while conjecturing and criticizing in regard to that problem. You know, notoriously, people forget to eat when they're immersed in a problem. I was just reading a Sherlock Holmes story yesterday, forget which one, in which Holmes remarks that he hasn't eaten since yesterday or something, and so that's a notorious thing, and I think it's true. I
It's
think
a sign that you should be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, yes. I mean, it's a sign. It's not an infallible sign. Nothing is. Now, that doesn't mean that the self doesn't exist, though, any more than, so sometimes we think of ourselves qua self, and sometimes we think of the early universe. And when we're thinking of ourselves and not the early universe, that doesn't mean that the early universe didn't exist. It existed. We're just not thinking about it. Similarly, the self exists, and sometimes we don't think about it. It's very hard to define because it is connected with consciousness, which we don't have a very good theory of. Now, free will, it seems to me that a lot of the discussion about free will is really literally a discussion about nothing, because people define free will as a type of thinking that violates the laws of physics. And then they say, but you can't violate the laws of physics, therefore there is no such thing as free will. Well, there's no such thing as free will thus defined. Yes. But I think the way free will is used both in everyday life and in philosophy isn't like that. It's got nothing to do with violating the laws of physics. It's, we need that concept in issues like when person X kills person Y, did they do that of their own free will? Or was it that a gust of wind pushed them towards the other person and then the other person fell into the path of the train? And therefore, that wasn't initiated by them. And then you can go into detail, like saying, well, if they have a hateful state of mind and that was inculcated in them by their parents, are they really exercising their free will when they commit the crime or putative crime, or when they enact their parents' crime, or however you want to phrase it? Well, that's a matter of fact. It's a matter of fact whether the process that led from their parents' inculcation to their pushing the person into the path of the train, whether that ever involved a process in their mind that is worth calling free will. So that in that kind of situation, we can ask, well, when we say what kind of process is worth calling free will, we really mean what kind of process is worth considering to have interpolated between the parents' inculcation and the pushing action in such a way that it shifts the moral responsibility. And I think the answer to that, or a big part of the answer to that, is whether the person in this thinking, during this thinking, has created something new in the world. So it's new knowledge, but it might be false, but whether they have created something. Now, again, many people would say there is no such thing as creating something new in the world, because everything you create, and not only is it caused by your parents' inculcation or whatever, but it's caused by the laws of physics. It's caused by the state of the universe as it was 100 years ago, as it was billions of years ago, as it was at the Big Bang. So the Big Bang is what caused this act of pushing. Now, I think that's an incoherent view of the novelty in the universe. It is clearly not true that, I say clearly advisedly, that someone's actions today are caused by the state of the universe yesterday, because all the arguments that it is apply equally well to tomorrow. So you could say he pushed him into the path of the train because he's going to be sitting in a jail cell tomorrow. And that has the same logic. The laws of physics are time reversible. So this kind of arguing away of the existence of novelty and therefore of free will is incoherent. It's literally infinitely ambiguous.
Mhm.
And some of the ambiguous ways of deploying that argument are mutually contradictory. And common sense says that Einstein's theory of relativity was not contained in the Big Bang. It was not contained in the thoughts of physicists at the beginning of the 19th century, but it was created in the mind of Einstein. So humans create things, create novelty all the time in their minds, and therefore it's meaningful to ask whether a particular idea was created by them or by somebody else, or by nobody, whether just sheer chance. And it can be a matter of degree. I mean, you can say the idea was partly created by Einstein and partly by Lorentz and Hilbert and so on. And it might be hard to tease out exactly what idea was created by Einstein, but you can tell it was, because those people did not write those papers. So yes, so I think both free will and the self exist, and the arguments against them are no good.